And happy New Year's Eve to everyone tuning in tonight for our new show, our new monthly show that's starting before the new year, the all-encompassing wrap-up show. And what this is we are going to be doing a monthly show where we wrap up everything that is Touring Fan Live and happening outside of the world of Touring Fan Live. When I originally came up with the idea of Touring Fan Live, or even the idea of doing a live stream show, I never thought that we would be able to get to where we are today. Even though I am on the face of many of these shows, that's going to change next year. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But what this show is a show to bring everything that we are doing, everything that people around Touring Fan Live are doing into one show that is going to be a non-guest driven show that is under an hour, maybe even under 30 minutes, that's just informationally done with highlights from our shows from that month, concert updates from other bands, but I'll be able to get into all that tonight. As you can see, to the side of me is our topics for the evening. We're going to be talking about the new show that we're on now, the new studio line, the Touring Fan Live in 2022, a new thing called Road Crew, the 2021 Impact. We were going to have Michelle and Rhiannon call in, but there's some technical difficulties, so we'll see about that. The 2021 shows, Jim Mazza, Our Future, and URTFL. So let's just dive right into it. So, an all-encompassing wrap-up show. We've already discussed what that's all about and everything that's going on with that. So, what you're going to see going forward is a little bit different than what tonight is. Tonight, we're wrapping up all of 2021. All of the benefits we did, all the shows we did, all the guests we had, everything that made Touring Fan Live what Touring Fan Live is today, as we celebrate a year and a half of this show being what it is. Starting next month, we will have a more in-depth show that will be bringing in segments of friends of the show, artists of the show, where we're going to highlight what poster artists or artists that have been on the show, what they're up to, the work that they have going on that month, and new drops that are coming out. We're working with artists that are going to allow us to announce drops prior to them making the announcement, so that there'll be a place for those announcements to be made to make it kind of special for you to tune in. We're going to be announcing what our friends of our show are doing. So, like, for instance, Kathy Moore just announced just almost 30 minutes ago that tonight at 9 o'clock, she's going to be introducing a live showing of an event that she was in, a concert that her and the Kathy Moore Trio did, that is going to be exclusive tonight at 9 p.m. because the show that it was doing with Thunder Pussy got canceled. So once again, that's all happening. So that's where all that's going to be on that show. And we're going to show clips and all that. So that's what we're looking forward to. And then, like I said, we're going to be breaking down all of our shows: Hitchhiker, X Gets the Square, and Evening With, Let's Talk Vinyl, and all future shows with information about dates for shows, guests for shows, topics, and upcoming things. Also, new and exciting coming for 2022, we're going to be having a hotline in the studio. So we're actually getting installed next month, a phone number that you'll be able to call into and be able to interact with either guests that are on the show, or while I'm on the show, if you wanted to call in and fill in. And we'll actually be able to have your information prior to even talking to the person on the screen. So we're really excited about that. Now, let's talk about Touring Fan in 2022. When I first built my first show, which was Tap Time Live with Anthony, and then we had Train to Tribe Live, and then now Touring Fan Live, everything was wrapped around the idea of Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam is a great avenue for all of us, and we love Pearl Jam, and it has built this huge platform for us and everyone at Touring Fan Live to build off of. But as we go forward and working with the Project Matters and meeting all these other musicians, it showed us that there's so much more out in the world that we could be doing with the people behind the scenes at Touring Fan Live, and how we have been producing things and building up things. So going into 2022, we're actually looking to be working with other bands and musicians, which are already in the works, to do events similar to what we've done in the past, but maybe not necessarily around Pearl Jam. I mean, we love Pearl Jam. We're not doing anything with Pearl Jam when they do shows or having pre-events or concerts like we did with things we'll be talking about in a little bit. But we want to start working with other bands that we love. So in 2022, we want to hear from you. What bands do you love and that you follow and that you have the passion for just as much as Pearl Jam? And maybe even, listen, Pearl Jam, having a passion for Pearl Jam is pretty big, but maybe a little bit like you have passion for Pearl Jam that you want us to potentially work with. We have some big things coming in 2022 when it comes to that. So we're excited about that. So there's going to be some changes where not everything's going to be Pearl Jam driven, but what's going to happen is we have our Touring Fan Live Facebook page. Then we have our group, the Touring Fan Live, the Pearl Jam group. And then whatever other bands we work with, we're going to have that. So we're not flooding you down with just one individual band's information. So there is some changes there. And our website's getting completely updated with all this information starting in January. So stay tuned for that. Also in 2022, if you've been a fan of the show and listening in the past, the studio is moving. I am moving to Kansas City. So once again, for the fourth time, we are moving what I had built into be a studio into something else. So some of the shows like Let's Talk Vinyl, we're actually going to be having at vineyards and wineries here in Virginia. Some of the other shows we'll be doing at some offsite locations in Virginia that we're working with right now. And we'll see how that goes. It's going to be different until we get into my permanent studio space in Kansas City, which should be roughly in June of 2022. But that's not going to stop me. We have already worked out situations that the show can be done elsewhere. And some of the shows that are coming next year won't have me even be a part of it, except in a production standpoint. We have some shows being built right now that are completely of new hosts that are going to bring a different idea from this. When I started Touring Fan Live, Touring Fan Live is about community, and it's about more than me. I'm just one person. I can't move mountains or change things. It takes a group effort, and we want to bring other people on board that do that. So you'll be seeing that, and we'll be announcing those shows in the upcoming weeks. The shows that you've been seeing on this channel for the last year are all staying. Nothing's changed from that. So it's just adding to make the product better. Let's see what else we got here. All right. I even, look at this. First time ever, I have 4 pages of notes for this show. Now, the biggest thing coming into 2022 is, we've had a pretty solid core of people watching the show and people listening in the podcast. And I want to hear from you. I want your opinions about the show and about Touring Fan Live and the events that we've had. Are we doing things correctly? Are you happy with what we're doing? Is there things that we can do differently that would make you want to tune in more? Because we want your feedback, because the only way we're going to get better and be able to produce something that you're going to enjoy is by hearing from you, the community, to make us better. So over the next couple weeks, there's going to be people from the Touring Fan Live reaching out to you all to get your opinion. And we want it to be honest. If you think we suck, great. Tell us how we can be better so we can build off that. I don't think this show's perfect. I don't think Touring Fan Live's perfect by any means. We are just a group of people that are passionate about music and passionate about art and passionate about fundraising and making an impact in people's lives. And that's all we care about. And whatever we can do to make that better, you let us know and we'll get that done. Also, I'm realizing I'm talking a lot with my hands. So now, a big thing coming in 2022. We're working on this now behind the scenes. It's called Road Crew, the Touring Fan Live's Road Crew. Starting in 2022, we're going to be implementing a new Road Crew group. This is going to be on Facebook. It's a private group. And more information will be coming out. But basically, we want, just like we want your opinion on this, we want people that are not necessarily working on the show or not necessarily behind the scenes to kind of have input on things. We want people from around the country and around the world that are going to be a part of the events that we're going to be producing for different bands and, have special, incentives of being a part of the Road Crew. So stay tuned for probably early 2022 for some more information to be coming out about how you can join the Touring Fan Live's Road Crew and be a part of the changes and initiatives that we have going forward to drive Touring Fan Live to be better going forward. Boom, boom, boom. Now, we get to talk about some cool things that we did in 2021. And let's get into what I thought was something pretty awesome and pretty exciting. In 2021, the first event we did was Rocking for a Cure. Rocking for a Cure was a benefit for the American Parkinson's Disease Association that we had, that I came up with in 2019. And I wanted to do something where I could build an event online, because at this time was at the height of COVID and people being inside, no concerts. to raise money for this organization in honor of my Aunt Arlene, who's fighting Parkinson's and battling dementia, and for my Uncle Stan, who's married to my Aunt Arlene, just because, they're older in age, and I wanted to do something special for them. And I wanted them to know how much they meant for me and how much I wanted their legacy to continue on through this event. So this was the first event that we ever did. We started working on it behind the scenes back in probably December, November of 2020 to really start putting this together. And it was a success. I'm going to pull up on the screen now some cool things. So to the left is the image that Dan Mumford drew. And to the right is the concert poster from this event. Now, what's really cool about this is Dan Mumford, we reached out to him and said, hey, we want to have this really cool, kind of poster done, a shirt done that represents Parkinson's disease and, is something that people would want to buy and have your flavor on it. And we, at the time, were thinking about having a shirt, an event, and donating the money to Michael J. Fox Foundation. When we reached out to Michael J. Fox Foundation, while they were extremely excited about doing this, they said that there's small organizations that really could be utilizing the money more than they could be. And they told me that the APDA is something that they knew would utilize the money. Jim Mazza loved the idea, and he actually went with a Back to the Future theme. We had permission from the Michael J. Fox camp to be able to utilize this image. They loved it. Michael J. Fox was shipped one of these T-shirts. Hopefully one day you'll see him in it. And we had this amazing event. The event had 13 musicians perform: Candlebox, The Copper Trees, Tyler Ramsey, Stereo Embers, Richard Suver, Black Circles, Jackson Pines, Carrie Ockery, Rob Benson, Paul and the Tall Trees, Last Night's Villains, The Mums, Paul Wirt. And this poster for Rockin' for a Cure was done by the amazing Steve Thomas. What was really great about this event was the significance that it held for a long period of time for me personally. This event happened with much success. We raised a total of $11,481.22 through our campaign, and all that money went directly to the APDA. That's from T-shirt sales from Jim Mazza's T-shirt design. That is from the poster sales from Steve Thomas, and the online registration from everything. So what I want to do real quick is, before we continue talking about this and some other things, I have a video from the APDA that I'd love to share with you all.
APDA was so thankful to be the beneficiary of Rocking for a Cure. The funds raised by this event help us continue our support for people impacted by Parkinson's and our urgent fight against this disease. On behalf of all those we serve in the Parkinson's community, thank you. If you or someone you know has been diagnosed with PD, please remember that APDA is here for you, and you can find us anytime at apdaparkinson.org. Have a happy and healthy new year.
So, Rocking for a Cure was a massive success, and really built the bridge to where we are today. Rocking for a Cure, during this time, we were able to add to the staff, which we'll talk about that later. But it was also kind of my swan song for my aunt and uncle. Recently, my uncle passed away. Kind of unexpectedly. So while this event was to raise money for the APDA, it was, as I said at the end of the Rockin' for a Cure, my way of showing them how much they cared about me and how much I loved them. So for them to see that, because COVID kept us separated, was really important and impactful to me. So and if not for every single person that tuned into that show, if not for every artist that was involved in that show, if not for every musician and community member that donated, this doesn't happen. And this really jump-started massive other events. Because I don't know if this event wasn't successful, I don't think we go to the next event. And it's interesting. So Rocking for a Cure is over, and Jackson Pines, who was basically one of the openers for Pearl Jam at See Here Now Festival, says, hey, listen, there's this organization in New Jersey I think you're going to love. They're called the Project Matters. And I knew nothing about them at the time. And basically, he just introduced us. And we've come to find out there is this organization that in New Jersey that basically is raising money, and 100% of it's going to individuals in that don't have the money or funds to either have an instrument or music lessons or anything to get them where they want to need, and even not even just music lessons and not even just instruments, but even the mental health side of things that are needed in today's world. I got to meet this amazing woman. Her name's Karen High. And after 15 minutes of me and Rhiannon talking, we knew we had to do something. Now, one of the greatest things, and I would say one of the things that are on my list when I built Touring Fan Live was people that I wanted to be a part of Touring Fan Live. And one of those people, besides Rhiannon and Jen, who are the backbone to Touring Fan Live and really got me started with this, was JJB. And JJB came on, and she had all these great, bright ideas and really jump-started some creativity process with things. And once she heard about the Project Matter, she's like, I have these ideas. What about if we reach out to some of the artists that have been on the show and that we know and see if they can paint ukuleles that we can have them donated and auctioned off to raise money for this organization. And this idea was 100% JJB's, and we loved it. And we were all like, yeah, let's do this. And we had artists just jump out and say they wanted to do this. So we started You Can Make a Difference. And then my creative ass was like, hey, that's not enough. Let's build a concert in New Jersey right before Pearl Jam plays at See Here Now Festival. And so Rhiannon finds us an a place to play it at in New Jersey, in Asbury Park at the Saint, at this amazing historic venue. We didn't even realize how historic it was. And then this is when things get really interesting. So let's look at some things from this. So Dan Mumford designs the shirt for Shorestock. So, this is what, like, as a fan of art and music, Dan Mumford and Jim Mazza, two top artists in the game, are designing t-shirts for us. Love them to death. And without them, we don't raise the monies that we did for these events. We go ahead and we design the shirt for Shorestock. The idea of Shorestock, the name, was created by Paul Wirt. And Shorestock was done on the 17th of September at the Saint. You Can Make a Difference. We had artists Jim Mazza, Brad Clausen, Ward Sutton, Arno Kiss, Copper Trees, Bailey Race, John Gloom, Jules Muck, Steve Thomas, Damian Fulton, the Bernie sisters, Kate Lindquist, and myself, who donated hand custom painted ukuleles to be auctioned 100% for the Project Matters. Here's some examples of the ukuleles that were painted, that were auctioned off, and here's some photos from that night. Now, here's something even wild, right? Here's some more pictures of the night before we get into some more stories from the night. These people right here made this evening amazing. Now, there's one person that isn't not in any of these pictures, and I feel terrible for her. Her name is Michelle. She got hurt during See Here Now Festival, but she had a huge impact and reason behind why Shorestock was such a success. Her hard work and dedication is a huge, that was a huge miss at the event because she needed to reap the benefits. But these people in this picture really show why it was success. And in the bottom right corner, during sound check, that's Karen and her husband, who was the first time I met them listening to Paul Wirt sound check. And it is probably one of my favorite pictures from this year because the angst and nervousness that I had leading up to this event and wanting it to be successful for this organization was so nerve-wracking. And to see them be happy in this moment was amazing. To all the people in the top right corner that were there donating their time, and working with other groups in the Pearl Jam community, including Randy from Live on Four Lakes podcast, was something special. To have Jackson Pines, who was basically was one of the main acts at See Here Now Festival, surprise the audience, a sold out audience, by the way, a sold out Saint venue in New Jersey, the first in-person event we've ever done, sold out. them surprise the audience. And then what they did was something that was magical. They turn around and they play Karen High's son's music, who is no longer with us, in honor of Karen and the Project Matters. It was such a magical evening, and it was beautiful, and it was something that means the world to me, and it was something that made me change the ideas and dynamics of what I think of Touring Fan Live and what it is for the future. And you know, we raised a total of $8,099.60. 100% went to Karen High and her organization. What I want to do here real quick is Karen wrote us a letter. I want to pull that up real quick here. Hold on a second as I get it up. Here we go. Karen wrote us this letter a couple of weeks ago for this event. And, there's a lot of people in this world that really make an impact in your life, right? Like they really mean the world to you and stuff. I'm gonna tell you something. This woman is absolutely one of the most amazing people in the world. What she's done. So Karen says, this year, Anthony, an enthusiastic group of volunteers worked tirelessly to produce a memorable fundraising event for the Project Matters, providing us with an opportunity to showcase our artists and raise awareness for our mission. The show was a great success, with music lovers and supporters from all over the country packing the house at the iconic New Jersey venue to celebrate a reviving live music scene after a hard hit during the pandemic. It was by far our most successful event to date. Alongside the event, the Touring Fan Live team also organized a unique ukulele auction, which raised enough to help us reach our most ambitious financial goals, all of which goes directly to the artists and music programs we support, keeping music, education, and opportunity alive for young people who need it most. The music industry needs more organizations like the Touring Fan Live to help aid in its anticipated recovery. We're so thankful for the unwavering support and friendship, especially during a most difficult year. Well, I've read that, I don't know, 5 or 6 times, and it hits me every time. We are just, a group of people that want to make a difference. That's all we care about. I don't care about anything else. We just want to help people. That's why we have such an amazing team at Touring Fan Live. We all have the same goal in mind. We love music. We love people, and we love artists, and we want to help people make a difference. And I feel like 2020 was a success with that. But even after this, I said, it's Christmas. Like, there's a lot of bad situations coming on. And then I saw a commercial one night about 11 o'clock in the evening that was for Mary's Place in Seattle, and it said 40,000 people, 40,000 kids. 40,000 kids in Washington will not have a home to sleep in during the holidays. And I said, nope, no, I'm not okay with that. So I messaged Rhiannon, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I said, we got to do something. And she said, what? And I said, I have no fucking idea. And I said, well, let's just do Jingle Jam. She said, what's Jingle Jam? I said, I have no idea. I said, just a name came up top of my head. Let's do it. I messaged some other people that I get opinions from, and we all kind of came together, and we basically said, hey, let's do this. And the crazy thing was, I'll never forget this. We emailed, 30 musicians. And the deadline was, I think it was like December 1st. Let us know if you're going to be able to do it, because if you're not, not a problem. November 30th, we had one commitment. And I said, all right, it's just going to be one artist playing. That's fine. We're going to raise money regardless. Well, when everything was all said and done with, we had a total of 19 musicians decide to play for Jingle Jam to benefit No Child Sleeps Outside. It was an initiative created 100% by Mary's Place to get kids off the street during this holiday season. And it was crazy how successful it was. we just had an ambition of raising $1,000. $1,000 was to just get it. Listen, this was a short notice thing, get things going, and we had an amazing turnout of musicians, and the end goal was amazing. Richard and Alex Stuverud. Now listen, I'm going to have to take a moment here just to thank them. Richard Stuverud has been a huge part of the Touring Fan Live for 2 years now, for a year and a half since we've been doing this. He's been a part of multiple fundraising events, and his music has been there for me and my family during hard times. He's so giving and an amazing guy, and his son has an amazing voice, and I'm so happy that he's a part of everything that we're doing here at the Touring Fan Live. Kathy Moore, that performance was out of this world amazing. Jackson Pines again come through I think they're the only people to be through all three events. They performed at Rocking for a Cure, they played for Jingle Jam, and they performed at Shorestock live in person. So, man, we love Jackson Pines. Paul and the Tall Trees, again, two events. Black Circle, 2 events. Ryan Blackwell, the Porchistas, the Mums, 2 events. Saki Schott, Justin Alina Zimmerman from the Project Matters, Dan Amato from the Project Matters, Bobby Mahoney, Matt Francola from the Project Matters, Gwen Aldine from the Project Matters, Michael Copetto from the Project Matters, Escape Directors from the Project Matters, Paul Wirt, staff member, he's another one actually, all 3 events been a part of, Tal Safret from the Project Matters, and James Mortorano from the Project Matters. All of these people donated time to sing these holiday covers for us to do to perform and accomplish Jingle Jam. And here's what's amazing: I didn't know that there was a breakdown for No Child Sleeps Aside to see where the money was going. And we found out about 2 days before the event that if we raised $1,300, that it would 100% get a family off the streets and into an apartment by the holidays. And it was Christmas Eve, or the night before Christmas Eve, about 12 o'clock, I get a message from someone from them, said, "Hey, you guys hit your mark. You guys raised $1,300. We actually are able to get a family off the streets, out of a shelter, out of a car, and into an apartment." So on Christmas Eve, this family, with the money we raised, was able to get them into housing. And I mean, there's nothing that could have been given to me this year in a matter of anything. You could have given me whatever you wanted. That right there was the greatest gift I've ever received of anything I've ever done for this show. Being someone that slept in their car for 3 days at the Ronkonkoma train station on Long Island because I had no place to go, was scary. Not having family around on certain Christmases back in 2003 and 4 really opened my eyes to like what it means to feel alone, and to be able to provide this family with something to almost like a jump start. We at Touring Fan Live, this is the most successful thing we've ever done, and it is absolutely amazing. So, before we get to one more graphic, we do have a message here from someone who's been a part of all 3 events. Here is a video sent in to us from Jackson Pines. Let's hear what they have to say about what we're talking about tonight.
Hey, this is Joe from Jackson Pines, and just want to say thank you to the Touring Fan Live for having us on for an interview this year and introducing us to a new fan base. And also, it was our pleasure to help with 3 different fundraisers over the last year. Thanks, Anthony, for introducing us to everybody on your team, and it's great to finally meet you in person at the Saint at Shorestock. We had a great time that night, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, successful 2022. Hopefully we'll see you guys down in Virginia.
If you're watching the show tonight, and if you are a member of the Touring Fan Live, if you are a fan of anything we do, or if this is the first time you've ever watched anything, there is a lot of people behind the scenes that make these numbers so special. Whether it's Jen Bailey and Rihanna Mish that gave up a lot of time to believe in me, to push me to do the show, these numbers stand true. If it's not Laura, if it's not JJB, if it's not Paul Wirt, if it's not Michelle, these people that take time away from their everyday lives to help and get these things going, these events and these numbers don't happen without them. $20,920.82 was raised in 2021, with 100% of that money going to the charities listed right there. The APDA, $11,481.22. The Project Matters, $8,099.60. Mary's Place, $1,340. 2021 Touring Fan Live, it is absolutely amazing. It is. When I saw those numbers today, it's still kind of hard to believe that we were able to accomplish that. We are a relatively new branch of something, whatever you want to call us, a Touring Fan Live. But because of the amazing people that I have working behind the scenes with Touring Fan Live and the amazing talent that we have with JJB, Laura, Michelle, Rhiannon, Jen, Paul, and Trisha, all these people that are willing to consistently donate their time with these great ideas and push us forward and to really drive this thing, that's why we were able to raise over $20,000 this year for organizations that deserve it, to get a family in a home, to give kids the opportunity to play instruments and have a career in music, for people battling Parkinson's that can't afford the proper treatment. All this happened this year because of them and because of you, the people that view into the show and that donate and believe in us. And we thank you so much for doing that. Now, to move into the 2021 shows. This year was cool. We had a great show. One of our most successful show, and actually had almost 2 million. When I checked the logo, it didn't hit it yet. We're almost at 2 million listens on podcasts, on iTunes, Google, Spotify, Deezer, all these things. Let's Talk Vinyl was a huge success this year, with almost a consistent 1,500 views on YouTube, with almost 6,000 views live and follow-up on Facebook, and almost 2 million listens on our podcast. It has been a success. Trey Bush has become a dear friend of mine, and his knowledge on Pearl Jam wine has been a godsend to Touring Fan Live. And the guests we've had on this show and the holiday episodes and the anniversary episodes, it's been nothing but a blast. So, you know, it's so cool to look at these numbers and see what we're doing. But, you know, before I talk more about that, let's go and hear what Trey's got to say.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? I just wanted to take a moment to thank everyone for all their support of Anthony and I for our show on the Touring Fan Live with Let's Talk Vinyl. It's been an awesome experience these last 17 months. Doing this show with Anthony. It's been a blast talking about wine, blast talking about Pearl Jam as well, and even better getting to know Anthony a little better, and can't wait to actually go to a Pearl Jam show with him. So thanks everyone for your support, and look forward to seeing you in 2022. Bye.
You know, I've never met Trey in person. We just clicked, and he is such an amazing person. And these shows are great. Listen, first of all, my love for wine has gone out the window. Like, I absolutely love wine through the roof. I've given up drinking beer. All I drink is wine, and I've turned into a wine snob thanks to Trey. And I feel like if you listen to the show, you can really educate yourself on wine and get a different take on Pearl Jam and the music we're listening to. So it's been great. So 17 episodes in, and it's pretty rocking. But I'm going to tell you something. One of my favorite shows came off an idea from one of my best friends, Brad. We were kind of talking, and I said, I really want to create this idea to interview people to, learn about them. I have always been a fan of like stories and hearing about people and learning about people I don't know about. Like, I just want to know what makes you click, what makes you tick. Like, I just interested in that. That's why I think documentaries and biographies are so important to me. So we created this show called Hitchhiker. And what Hitchhiker is we have these fans. This year was just a Pearl Jam, and other things too, come on and tell us their story of why they love Pearl Jam, what's so unique about it, and give us some stories about them on the road. And I finally got to interview Tanya Kang. We got to hear from the famous Dale. John Evans came on, Jimmy Partridge, my buddy Brad, Ryan Blackwell, and of course we had our last one with Brittany. And the stories that we heard, listening to Tanya talk not just about Pearl Jam, but My Morning Jacket, Dale talking about why Pearl Jam is the only band he'll see live, John talking about his story of going to Chicago and what it meant to him to be front row and what everything meant to him. Jimmy Partridge not talking about Pink Floyd and seeing the Wall and that drive across to Long Island. Brad Lang talking about him meeting Sam, and that the beginning of that love story and how Pearl Jam brought them together. Ryan Blackwell talking about like his love of Pearl Jam and how that music meant something to him and helped him as a musician. And Brittany talking about the idea of her travel and how she's been everywhere and seen this band and what it means to her and how it's grown her as a person. These stories are amazing. It is so easy as a host of a show to sit back and listen to it and get wrapped up in these people and their stories, because each one of these people had a different story and a different idea of why Pearl Jam meant so much to them. That is absolutely awesome. And I love doing this show. This is one of my favorite shows to do because it's an experience of me learning from these people. And I think that's why I love all the shows we do. It's about learning and meeting and understanding and getting to know the community of these people. Because listen, I guarantee you're going to go to a show and you're going to see one of these people. And you're like, hey, I heard your story. And then it sparks. These are amazing people, and our community has a lot of amazing people. I will tell you that January 10th, our next episode, Jason Leung, from An All-Encompassing Trip, is going to be coming on the show. He's our next guest. More information coming out soon about that one. So that's going to be a great one coming up. And we already have our next couple guests lined up or working on finalizing that. So we're really excited about that. We also started this year, X Gets to Square. Bailey Race, another person who I think 2021 knock out of the park. He's like, hey, Anthony, he's been on the show quite a few times. Let's do a show, like a random offbeat show that's different than anything else, pop culture based, artist based, have artists on and talk about things. And we've had with X Gets to Square, Dan Mumford's come on, Robert Bruno, Luke Pierce, Arno Kiss, have all come on, and we just talk pop culture and just random things, and music gets involved, and we get to learn about these people in a different take than we normally would if I did like an evening with, which we'll talk about in just a sec. And the show kind of is really, really, haven't had a lot of episodes, and it's inconsistent based off of the fact that Bailey Race is probably one of the most popular artists right now, creating more posters than any artist out there right now. But our next episode will be next month. Dan Mumford will be coming on again, and it is a Spider-Man themed episode. We're going to be talking about the new Spider-Man, where for the first time ever in the history of Touring Fan Live, we had an official letter sent to us from Sony Pictures who said, hey, excited that you're doing the show, but if you put the show on before January 1st, we're going to go after you to shut your product down. We'd love for you to do the show. Just do it after January 1st, or we will have to go after you. So we obliged. We do not need Sony coming after Touring Fan Live, so we obliged by them. I've had a conversation with them recently, and they are excited for us doing it in January and actually sent us some cool clips to utilize on the show. So next month, keep an eye out for that as we finalize a date for that. So, and then X Gets to Square will be coming out more with more shows next year. And for all the people listening to on the podcast, because the numbers on the podcast are much higher than they are everywhere else, we love it. We love it so much. And then one thing that I learned going forward from past shows is that it makes sense to work with everybody and work with everyone, whether they're doing a show like yours and things, because we're all in it together and networking makes sense, and you're going to make friends that way. And this past year, I've really gotten to know, probably a year and a half, I've gotten to know Dave at Live Footsteps and Randy over on Live on Four Legs really well. And they're amazing guys. And I told them I wanted to work with you. Let's do something together. And they loved the idea. So what we did was this year, after the Pearl Jam shows wrapped up, we did a show called Destined to Remember. And what it was 3 episodes, and we broke down the tour in a way of video clips, information. It was crazy. Dave's pulling out like all these stats. Randy knows all this knowledge, and I'm over here just giving him experiences. And we had people come on the show and kind of give their firsthand experience of what they saw at the show and how they felt. And it was such a cool show. It was another great way of incorporating the community to kind of talk about what it was to see Pearl Jam, and it was very much as a Pearl Jam driven show. And we've talked about, even as the tours move on, to continue doing the show. So next year, when God willing, the shows go on, we plan on doing Destined to Remember again, and having the ability for a show that's going to produce information and stats from everything. So we're really looking forward to that. We also did Evening With this year. We basically had once a month, had a guest on that just someone, whether it was an artist, author, musician, just to talk to them and learn about them, to learn about what, how they got to where they are, what made them get there, the work involved in it. So it was pretty exciting. We had Charles Peterson, we had Damien Fulton, we had Brad Clausen, we had Carrie Ockery, Kathy Moore, Kevin Martin from Candlebox, Jackson Pines, Ward Sutton, Joshua Budich, Robert Bruno, Tyler Ramsey, Jason Hill, and Justin Hampton all came on to Touring Fan Live this year and told us their stories. And some of the stories were absolutely amazing. One of the ones that really stood out for me was talking to Jason Hill from Louis XIV, who is now a very successful music producer out in California, who's made a lot of the intro songs to many of Netflix's most popular shows. When he was in Louis XIV, he was asked to play at one of David Bowie's events. They recorded a bunch of music together, which he doesn't have. He doesn't know where it is, but he was the last artist to ever play with David Bowie without knowing that was David Bowie's last show ever. And this story that he told was amazing. And it really was something special. So that was a really cool story. And there was so much more, like Tyler Ramsey talking about, dealing with being in quarantine and COVID and how he's adjusting to that. To Carrie Ockery talking about her changes from going from being all driven into music to now being a life coach and how that impacts people. Charles Peterson talking about how he got some of the most famous shots off those beautiful film cameras back when he was photographing Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and so many other great bands. Damien Fulton and his very charitable ways of doing things. And so much more. It was such a great year for those shows, and we have a lot of great ones lined up for next year. But there is one person that I really want to take a moment to thank. Jim Mazza is an amazing poster artist that designed our first T-shirt ever, the one that had the Back to the Future logo on it, and he also did one of the ukuleles. Without his contributions alone raised over $3,000 from multiple charities. With T-shirt sales and his ukulele, 100%, almost. I don't have the exact numbers, but it was over $3,000 because of him. And Jim Mazza, and listen, I know when I call him or I text him, he's probably like, "What the hell does he want me to do now?" But if Jim's watching this, all I have to say is thank you so much for taking the time and believing in a Touring Fan Live and donating your time. That's helped so many people that are in need, and it means the world to me. And you have a fan for life. So thank you, Jim Mazza, for all you do. Now, as for our future, we are not slowing down. We have a lot of big ideas going into 2022 and how we're going to ramp up and kind of do the next thing. So we're excited about it. We're not stopping. We're not quitting. We're not doing none of this stuff. This is just the beginning for us. So next year we're looking to do more events. We're looking to do more different style live shows and all this stuff that will definitely be coming out with more information that coming out soon. So keep checking in on the Touring Fan Lives Facebook, Instagram, and website. Now, here's the people I need to thank the most. To Rhiannon Mish, who right now is dealing with a flat tire and moving in Utah, wherever middle of Utah you are. and to Jen Bailey in Florida, celebrating the holidays with her family. You two are huge reasons why I am here at this table right now and why Touring Fan Live is so successful. You constantly, when I almost wanted to quit everything, were there for me. So these shows and Touring Fan Live are a big reason because of you. To Paul Wirt, who's been friends with me for almost 20 years now, who jumps on. He does the great articles on the touringfanlive.com, and he's consistently a part of different musical parts of the show. Thank you so much for consistently being a part of everything that I do. You're an absolute amazing person. Actually, here, I'll show you this. This is something I found recently. It's always on my wall. This is my first band poster called Champagne Breakfast. That's me over here with hair. And that's Paul, and this is from 2005, right when I first moved to Lynchburg. So great things, Paul. So thank you for everything you do. To Michelle, who literally broke a knee and an ankle. Even with that, you still were doing stuff for Touring Fan Live, and you're a huge part of this, and much success for this. Your ideas and what you do online for us is something I'll always be grateful for. To Laura for coming in and with her knowledge of fundraising and nonprofits and wanting to be a part of this and her energy. You've been such a great part of this, and I can't thank you enough for being there for us. To JJB for agreeing to come into this, and with your bright ideas and your smarts, and you've just been a ray of light for so many different things that I can't thank you enough. For Trisha, the future, I look forward to doing so much more with you. And I really feel like I've said everything. I have. I feel like it. I feel I have. Now, the biggest thank you to the community. We consistently see the numbers and the people that are tuning in. And we thank you if you are one of those people that are tuning in and believing in us. We are nothing without viewers. We are nothing without people that are donating. We are nothing without the people listening. We thank you so much for supporting us. We thank you so much for your feedback. We thank you so much for consistently helping us get to our goals. Without you, this doesn't happen. So for that, I thank you so much. 2021 to me was a huge success. Touring Fan Live was a huge success. All of my dreams and ideas for what Touring Fan Live have, what I wanted them to be, have been blown away. You guys have pushed this program, platform, everything to something more than I ever dreamed it could be. And we're just starting. So to every single person that's tuned in, for every single person that's listening, for every single person that's donated, Touring Fan Live thanks you so much. We hope that 2021 was as successful and ambitious as it was for us. And we wish you a happy new year, and we wish you the best in 2022. This is us signing off for the year. And we only have a few more episodes in the studio, which is kind of scary and sad in its own sense. But thank you so much for tuning in. And I cannot wait to see what 2022 brings us. So everyone, be safe tonight. Get an Uber. Don't drink and drive. And that should do it.